AI is a buzzword hiding many different situations. The European Union and the OECD have found a common definition for an AI, and the definition is as follows. This is a machine-based system that is designed to operate with varying level of autonomy and that can, for explicit or implicit objectives, generate output. And output can be a prediction, can be a recommendation, a content, or even a decision. And this output is influencing the physical or the virtual environment. So it's a very broad definition. AI are based on different techniques. Example of AI for each technique, machine learning, where you use, for instance, in face recognitions. You have the classical logic and knowledge-based approaches, like you may find in guided customer interface. So not the chatbot, the guided customer interfaces. And as well, more classical statistical approaches, where you have classifier recommendation engine behind the web shops. So that was AI. But what is AI quality? AI quality is what we do every day at TÜV. We take a test object, here it is AI, and we ensure it satisfies the requirements and regulation all along its entire life cycle, from design to decommissioning. Since we are going to spend some time together, here is the agenda. So we will briefly conceptualize the notion of risks with AI. Second, we will set the screen on the EU AI Act. I know Brexit, but still you are concerned, you will see. Third, we zoom into the interface with machinery regulation, which is a specific focus on this AI. And fourth, we will give perspective on how to address those challenges within your organization. Again, don't forget can you ask your question anytime, and my colleague will gather them, and if I think I should answer on the fly, I will take them over. So new technology, new benefits, and new risks. Yeah, I could make it could be a Marvel movie, but it's not Marvel; it's just real world. So at TÜV, risk is our business. We classify those risks in 6 categories. There is no right or wrong, right? It could be 7, it could be 5. What matters is that you don't forget a single risk. It is what is important. And when we do this classification in 6 categories at TÜV, we know we don't forget any risks. The risks are safety, where if you can harm people, security, where you can harm the systems itself, legal, where you're not compliant, performance, are you sure your system is doing what it's supposed to do, at the quality it's supposed to have? Ethics, are you sure the system is doing it like the society or your organization is willing it to be done? And sustainability, here we come to energy consumption or environment issue, depending on the application. You surely have a specific AI in mind, else you would not be logging here today. Now think a couple of seconds, which of those risks you would like to accept for this specific AI? Yeah, probably not much or not many, I don't know, but you don't want to take any of those. And we're going to see what happens if you take any of those. The stakes are high, yeah. It can happen for you as an employee or whatever your position. If you are a programmer or responsible in the value chain of an AI, it can happen for your company, yeah, or even for the whole society. All the scale of impact from just being compliant to lose your reputation, lose money, lose customers, and even threats to society. Because we saw AI, GPT, I don't remember in how many days, or how many millions of people, I forget it, but basically in a couple of days, you impact the whole society. And the same for the environment. So this is a magic word. This is the word risk. And this is all about this in the EU Act, how to address the risks of AI. Now we are going to focus on this EU Act. The market rules are about to change. Today, you can do absolutely what you want with AI. Even let's say in a toy, which is otherwise so much regulated, it's AI part. You do what you want. This current void on specific AI risk is going to be filled by regulation, at least in the European environment, very likely before end of this year, with a 2 years transition period. And for the one no playing by these new rules, if you don't want to play by these new rules, your wallet is going to suffer. It used to be 6% until June, and now they change it in the draft up to 7%. This figure might change now, or not to 6, back to 6, or stay to 7. It doesn't matter. 7% of your total worldwide revenue in case of really high infringement against the OEA Act. So you may better take it in consideration beforehand. You should remember the 7%. It will come later again. On this slide, a little busy, there are 3 words that I want to focus on. First is horizontal. Horizontal means this is for everyone. Like, remember data protection. It doesn't matter if you're in healthcare, automotive, or I don't know, whatever, you're all concerned. This is the first word. The second word is risk-based. So this is not about your branch again. This is not about your category of activity, but it's about the risk of every single AI system. Yeah. One of your system may be green in your same organization, and the other system in your very same organization might be red. So it's not about your company, it's about the system itself. And the third word is regulation. Well, now comes the politic and everything. What does mean regulation? Regulation means it does not go through 27 country parliaments and you wait for years until something maybe happen. Regulation means it is directly applicable for all countries without parliament. So now we just explained the title of this slide. Let's go to the body. The risk classes. So there is a red area which is prohibited because we are basically not in China. We are prohibiting everything which is, again, the European Charter of Fundamental Rights, manipulation, social scoring, real-time biometric in public spaces, law enforcement. Several topics are within this prohibition category. I hope and I assume you are not concerned by this category. The high risk is significant risk for the fundamental rights of the EU. So here you come on things which are authorized, but can be tricky in the execution. It's when you touch on justice and democratic processes, migration, border control, and everything which is touching the health of people. So if you can harm people, injure people, you might think of medical device, you may think of autonomous driving. All of this enter in high risk. Then we have a small in between, transparency risk. It is basically, to make it simple, when you need to know that you're talking to a machine, right? Any situation where it's not clear, then you need to have this information. And the broad basis, this is all the rest. And most of application will be green, to be honest. So by now, you should have identified the flow in this law. Yeah, I hope so. A smart fridge containing the beers is not high risk. This is a big issue. Yeah. What is more dangerous on Sunday night? No, this was a joke because I'm sure you've been looking at the Rugby World Cup lately and been counting your beer in the fridge. But let's go to the next. What does it mean? So you may remember the famous 7% penalties, right? To help you avoiding those 7%, the European Union foresees that you have to get a third-party assessment to put your application on the market if you have in a high-risk area. The estimations say that approximately 15% of application will fall into this category. It's difficult to foresee. And in general, and we will see this later, I would recommend to address this topic on a broader scale than just a high risk, because it's something you have to do at your full organization level, let it be high risk or not high risk, to make sure you do not forget any use case and you tackle all your challenges in the same system. For the one who are fan of ChatGPT, as most of people currently probably, you would already have noticed large language models, or LLMs, we are not in this simplified view. There is broad reason for this, because when the European community started to write the law, they were not existing at all, so they didn't have it on the pyramid. But right now, there is a specific category for them, which is between the yellow and the orange, but nothing is really fully settled so far. So it will be really too early to say it's going to be as in slide. So what would happen is basically the fundamental model would undergo specific regulation, but only a few guys are making fundamental models. I mean, I'm talking about OpenAI, Google, and these kind of guys. And the other applying these foundation models just fall under the classical rules of high risk, transparency risk, and minimal owner risk. And you fall back into the existing structure of the law. But let's keep this for today, as really things are moving, still moving in the background. So you want to be compliant, probably. Yeah, this is easy. You just need to follow the standards. Ha ha ha. Yeah, there are at least 57 relevant standards at this date, and it's increasing. So probably a little more by the end of the year, and surely more by the end of next year. But do not worry, this is our job at TÜV to compile them for you and to show you the path. I've picked up a couple of standards on the right side that you get an idea of what I'm talking about. It touches everything from management systems, like the two upper ones, to functional safety, or really to more process-oriented things, as well data quality, which I did not list it. So many standards are touching AI. They are all being produced now, and some are already published, and most of them are going to be published by the end of the year or mid of next year. Oh, this slide has been killed as well, but we will survive. So, Brexit. Yes, we all remember there was a Brexit. What does this mean for UK? I don't know what you're doing every day, obviously, but you are most probably concerned if you are doing business with the EU, and even if you're not established in the EU. But you probably do know this because else you would not be here today. So I've summarized things. Yeah, if you are making business with the EU and you're part of the supply chain with your data, with your embedded software, embedded AI, and you want to put it directly in the EU market or within the machine or within the product in the EU market, you are concerned. Yeah. And if your system is just a software and it has user in the EU, you are concerned. Yeah, there's no say, oh, I'm in the UK, I don't care. The user logged in from the EU, you are concerned. There is a kind of extraterritoriality here. There are some exceptions, military, public authorities, which are not concerned, but for everybody, for everyday's mind, you are concerned. So, as the title of this specific webinar was focusing on the context of machinery, we are going now to move on this. This is the third part. What is the link with machinery? First, I will start with some basic news about the new machinery regulation. We are today already in the transition period. Yeah? It has been published in July or June. That's what July. I'm not sure if it was end of June or beginning of July. Okay, in July this year, and there is a transition period for 4 years, or 3.5 to be exact, until this regulation comes into power. And if you look at this new machinery regulation, and it's again a regulation, and you notice it's not going through the parliament, so there's nothing will stop it. It's already existing. And if you go to the Annex 1, Part A, you will see that some machinery need a notify body if either the safety component has ML approaches, also machine learning approaches, or and or the embedded AI software is, if it's not placed independently in the market as a safety component, you are concerned by this obligatory notified body. To help doing such things, the EU have asked for a standardization effort for harmonized standards, and this is being started now. And there are some interface with the AUA Act. This can still be moving a little since the AUA Act is not being written yet, but it is the same horizontal approach. It's a risk-based classifying system. Yeah. And for high-risk AI and machinery, the assessment of machinery will apply. It means you will not do one machinery assessment on the right side and one AI on the other side, but you should integrate your AI assessment within the machinery. And the new standards will help you to integrate this AI in your machinery, and you do only one assessment to put it on the market. So in short, because I know it's a little tricky here, if you have AI impacting a safety function, you will have homework to do. How to solve this homework is not fully clear yet because some standards have yet to be written. I here skip a little some aspects of cybersecurity because this is not the core topic, and Joe would be much better than me to talk about cybersecurity anyway. Don't worry. Oops, sorry, I click one here. So what does this mean? You remember your old steam machine, yeah? Especially in UK, you started first with the Industrial Revolution. So now those machines are complex systems. AI is not in nothing new. I mean, it's everything new. I mean, for maintenance purpose, for everything, you already have AI everywhere. But what is probably going to be new, that AI is closing down to safety relevant functions. And here you will see there is a new ISO EIC standard 5469, which is addressing functional safety and AI. So I'm sure functional safety is a topic for you today. And there is a new standard which is trying to put AI in the context of functional safety to help you to put your machine on the market. So as same way like you had some years ago, you integrate automation, you integrate network aspects in your machinery, and you had to expand the complexity of your machine test and the regulation of your machine. You get an additional layer, which is AI. If you touch functional safety, if you touch safety in your machinery environment. So, and the next slide is going to deep dive on this a little. But don't worry, we are not going to read this because you're going to kill me before the end of the webinar. This big matrix is telling you following. If your current functional safety methods do not cover your software because you have machine learning or whatever inside, and you cannot predict really what's happening like you should be doing in functional safety, then you have an issue and you better call us or you better know how to do it differently. That's what this matrix is telling you. And typically, machine learning usually are not well covered by functional safety. And this is what's shown in this orange and red area, where you see you need to define new requirements, new set of requirements beyond the one you've been defining so far in functional safety. And there are even areas where the ISO 5469 recommend you not to put any AI or not to put you any machine learning in specific functions if you can't explain what's happening. So these were the problem statements and what's going on outside. Let's have a look how to solve it. While preparing this webinar, I was wondering, like everyone, if ChatGPT had the answer on how to address it. Well, I asked him. As you can see, my prompt, it is a true prompt, right? It's not, I just shortened the answer of Eminem because it was, I don't know, something like 16 or 20 lines, and I didn't want to read them all. But what you see is, it's almost correct, but not really. It's not fully true. And why does it matter that it's just almost correct? Because you want quality for your AI. You want it to be correct, not just almost correct. You want quality for your AI. And you want that your AI gives you the needed output, and not almost the needed output, but just a needed output. So let's deep dive. We come back to the definition we had at the beginning of this webinar, AI quality. So you remember, AI quality refers to the degree to which an AI system meets certain requirements that you define for an entire life cycle. And managing the quality means managing and controlling your AI. And when you do this, you manage the risks and you comply with regulation, because if you remember, the EU AI Act was all about risk mitigation. You build trust with your customers. This is nothing new. If you manage your risk, you manage your quality, you get happy customer, you meet the expectation. And on top of it, it enables organization to integrate or run AI at scale. I will take basically a classical example of a car. Yeah? A car manufacturer is not making quality management for his car just to comply, just to be able to put his car on the street. No, he's making quality management to make customer happy that the car is not coming back after 5,000 kilometers, but only after 10 years maybe, or not even never, right? And he's making quality to make sure that what he's producing in production in the plant number A is produced in the plant number 2 the same way. And it's exactly the same thing for an AI. You make AI quality to be compliant, to be happy with your customer, and to make sure that what you do it at scale and not just in your innovation hub somewhere. So now I ask you an easy question. Who is responsible for security in your company? I'm sure you know the person in charge, or probably you know where to find it, or you know the list where the guy is listed. It's easy going. And I'll give you another question. Who in your company is responsible for AI governance? We make no polls here, but I'm sure if we made a poll, I would easily win, right? Nobody knows, probably. Is it clearly defined? No. Yeah. Does this guy, if he exists, let's assume he exists, you're a lucky guy, does he know all AIs in place in your company? Probably not so clear. Yeah. And so you remember now the 7%, and you probably don't even a guy who knows where the 7% penalty could come from. To address this, we have put in place a toolbox. And since we like complex words, we call it framework. This toolbox is called AI Quality Framework. These frameworks enables us to address the changing AI regulation, to scale your AI, and to demonstrate the responsible use. How have we built this toolbox? How have we built this framework? This is a structured compilation of all the regulation and all relevant standards for AI. We've taken this in the classical ISO IEC, VDE, and IEEE standard listing. And remember, being conform to those standards means being compliant to the EU Act. Yeah, never forget this, because the EU Act has been written at a high level, and there is it's going to survive long. And it say, if you want to be conform to me, just be conform to the standards. It will be okay. And the second things we put in this toolbox is to know-how on how to implement AI quality management and how to take care of risk management and risk assessment. This is our AI quality framework. So the framework in detail, it's how it looks like. Don't worry, I'm just not going to overkill you with this slide. We have basically 3 big blocks. One, which is organizational, which is the governance of your company, which was mentioned before, and all around your infrastructure of your AI system. How is your core, basically your model, your data? How do you integrate it in your final product or the final environment? The oversight, the control mechanism for this product, and the infrastructure, the stack, to ensure that this AI is happening. So this is something at, I would say, organization level. And it does not change for every AI. It's something you don't change your infrastructure for each project. A second block, which are the processes. You could argue the processes are part of the governance. It is really not the topic here. The process ensure that what you have decided to do happen in every stage of your company, every time, repeatedly, and you get proof of what has been done and proof what has not been done. And the third block is the risk management. We are only talking about risk for the past half an hour. And those risks is exactly what you want to address. And this block is really use case specific. You remember the pyramid before of all the risk? I told you in the same organization, you can have green, low risk, or in the same organization, you can have an orange, high risk application. And it's exactly what happens. For each of your single use case, you will need to make a risk assessment to know exactly what risk is happening for this. And you see again the 6 pillars we mentioned before: safety, security, legal, ethics, performance, and sustainability. And since it's too easy to make it once, you have to make sure that you ensure all those risks for each steps of the AI lifecycle, from requirement definition to decommissioning. And the same thing for the data lifecycle, from the first time you get grip on your data until you just say, okay, I don't need them anymore. They are not fit for purpose any longer. Ethics is a little specific context. Usually we do not deal so much with ethics. Probably not all of you will deal with ethics. In the context of machinery, this is not that much used, but you can think about educational software or this kind of stuff where ethics can be really important. But this is not the focus right now of this presentation. But keep in mind, not far away from your department, maybe upstairs or downstairs, right? In the HR department, there is a guy currently purchasing a software with AI, filtering CV, and already you are concerned with ethics. Yeah, so this is not that far away. This is probably far away of your everyday job, but not necessarily far away of your organization. So we come back to our framework at the high level, right? From this framework, we've defined services to guide you all along your AI adoption journey. We provide trainings, right, where you can be certified as a person to program, certify as a person for the AI quality management. And we have a couple of e-learning modules if you want just to do it all by yourself and go the north face of the AI knowledge. We have some assessments where we help you to define risk profile of your AI system and gap analysis for organizational maturity and your governance situation. And we can do process auditing all along the AI lifecycle. It really depends on where you are on your AI journey, and we can mix all of them, obviously. And we are preparing currently methods for test and auditing. Why do I say preparing? Because as long as the law or the regulation is not fully published, it's as long as it's a draft, we cannot audit, right? We have to wait until it's republished, and then only we'll be able to audit in full detail. So depending where you know, we can teach you to fish with a training, or we can give you a fish with an assessment, or we can show you how to cook your fish with advisory. It really depends where you stand in your AI journey. I realize I already said it most, but I will just deepen on some aspect. When you are already having AI in your organization, you really be careful in already implementing AI quality management system. What I've told you so far are building blocks of the AI management system, yeah. But you have to build the full block, right? You have to build really from the governance to the risk management in the whole this AI quality management system. And it does not happen in one day. And you have really to involve the AI department, the quality department, and probably a couple of higher management level to ensure that things are going to be put into the governance strategy, and then things are repeatedly and long-term ensured in your company. So depending where you are, you may start 1, 2, 3, but you cannot jump 3, right? This is something you will have to do. We are coming to an end, and there are 3 things I would like you to remember before leaving this webinar or before asking any questions. The first is at least 15% of application will be concerned by third-party certification, and probably many more need AI quality assurance. Yeah, it's not just because you don't need a notified body that you will be able to do it on your own. Second, we have an AI quality toolbox to seize this challenges and to answer your needs, either by and this can be derived in our third topic with training, assessment, or advisory to help you implementing AI quality insurance in your organization. That's it for the frontal part. I'm really happy to ask or to answer any of your questions.
First off, is IEC 54669 now published, or is it still in draft?
Yeah, it's still in draft. Plan is probably so original plan was end of this year, but I will probably expect it by next year. So now we have actually the plenary session of the ISO 42 SC42 actually now in Vienna. So I assume that by Friday we would have some more changes in the timelines of the standards and the plan for all the upcoming and already ongoing ones.
Good stuff. The second question is, how will the success of the AI Act be measured and demonstrated, do you think?
You mean first to make sure, I don't know who
Well,
the
in
auditor
fact,
is, but you mean...
there's another question which might go together. You know, I think I understand the question, and it's, will the AI Act stifle or promote innovation? And I think those two questions go together.
Okay, so there are two kinds of success, or many kinds of success. One success will be from the, I would say, the government point of view, and one success will be from the organization point of view, probably, or from the society point of view. To measure the success, I don't think it's going to be easy stuff to measure the success for the government point of view, because it's a long-term issue. I mean, it will take months and years to realize before you did things wrong, unless you did it very, very, very wrong, yeah, which we do not hope. And from the organization point of view, I think you will realize pretty quick if the way you are doing things are adapted to the new regulation. As you realize pretty quick that the way you were having your data storage was not adapting to the data regulation. I don't think it's really big. So I think it's going to be easy. The success is going to be easily measured from this point of view. But your question was probably on the society at scale. Is it helping innovation? Is it going to kill Europe? We're already not the biggest AI worldwide, let's say it frankly. I mean, sorry, I put UK within Europe out of habit. You can't forget 20 years just in a couple of years, but let's say Europe, a geographical Europe, we are not the best in class, yes. And to be honest, I think the current law is not pushing enough innovation. There is room to push it better. It doesn't mean it's killing innovation, but it's a missed opportunity to push it. Ibrahim, what do you say from your point of view?
Yes, so basically for the first part of the questions, the legislator, they have thought about the fact that even after this act coming into force, there will be kind of experimenting period of time. So there will be a monitoring phase that is already planned also from the logic point of view of the legislator, where we will monitor how this act would be enforced in place. And there we will be tuning things, changing, adjusting, adapting. So this is at least the plan, and everyone is prepared to this experimentation phase, even after the enforcement of the act. Then for the innovation part, I believe that the devil lies in the details. And this is exactly what the European Commission, Council, and Parliament are trying to sort out. There are different details now in the original and amended proposal where people are not happy, especially from the point of view of innovation, that this would be restricting, the innovation environment capabilities in the EU, especially, for instance, the topic of foundational models and all the ChatGPT stuff with all the new amendments proposed in May. But I believe now what is supposed to be done through this trilog phase, that the three components and also everyone involved in these discussions to try to find the perfect balance between innovation and between also the core values of the EU as always the pioneer for data privacy, security, regulation, and structured approaches. We don't know yet. I personally, now this is my personal point of view, I am not very much happy about the current status, but let's wait. And then by the end of the trilogues, hopefully we will have more changes that could basically drive us in the direction of fostering innovation. But let's wait and see.
Okay, great. I think you kind of touched on on an answer to the next question, Philippe. But I get a similar question when I speak to companies that are asking about cybersecurity for their products. And the question is, what should companies be doing today to prepare for the EU AI Act?
I think, well, it depends where they are, right? If they have AI or not AI. If you don't have AI today, you should start to think what is your AI strategy. Yeah. But let's assume we are talking about company that already know what they want to do with AI, already have AI. So they have already done this step. What you need to do is to really build in your organization guidelines and really processes that ensure that when middle and or high risk application occur, you're aware of it. And this can occur in your procuring department. They can occur in HR department. They can occur in your product development department. So this is the first step. The second step, or which can occur parallelly, but the second thing to do is really to make aware of people either procuring AI, so using externally AI provider or making AI themselves, that it's all about risk mitigation, like in normal quality management. And you have to start putting system on how to identify the risks and how to mitigate the risks. And this is not only done while coding your AI. No. This starts from the beginning of the project when you define the requirements, and it carries on all along when the product is live and deployed until it is already decommissioned. And so you have to probably change things in your company because usually this risk is only addressed at a very narrow bandwidth of the AI production itself. And third, because I've been talking about AI and we talk only about AI, and there is data. Usually data is a poor brother of AI. Every people assume everything okay, but is your data is not following the same set of early requirements risk management and late decommissioning risk management, this is the biggest pitfall that you will incur later. So right now it's about it, making aware your people that it's happening and making aware that risk management and the biggest frame for quality management, but minimally risk management is the necessary approach to be ready in a couple of months, because 2 years is tomorrow, right?
Yep, definitely, and I agree with you. At the very least, start researching today, even though you might not be implementing it for quite some time. The next question is, AI and autonomous systems are already here, especially in the automotive arena. Will client compliance with these regulations be retrospective? And if so, how would this be accomplished?
So, and no law is and Ibrahim, check me out, but let me try out. No law is retrospective. So, I mean, if your system is already on the market, don't worry, unless, and then come the unless, you make a significant change in the system after the law has been passed. So I don't know, you have system A and you version 1.6, and you come out with a version 2.0, which is a significant change of your system of an existing product, then you're back in. But if you go from 1.6 to 1.65 or 1.7, probably you're still out. Not, and Ibrahim
Maybe I
confirms?
can also,
Good
yes,
stuff.
I totally confirm. I wanted just to say that especially the automotive field is a very tricky one, because at least until now, this should lie under the Annex, the Section B of Annex 2 of the EU Act. And there, the logic is a bit different compared, for example, the machinery directive that Philip mentioned during the presentation. So until now, the legislator also is not very well sure how exactly this would go hand in hand with the EUA Act. So this is still to be figured out, and we would expect that hopefully soon in the future we would have a clear, basically interlacing strategy between the EUA Act and whatever, for example, is important for the automotive field, for instance. But I would confirm that under basically at this point, it wouldn't be retrospective unless, like Philip mentioned, there would be meaningful changes you are introducing, for example, important and significant changes into your product. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Next question. How will adherence to the EU AI Act be controlled? Is there any agency or similar for enforcing the regulation?
Oh, there are two aspects in this. There will be a European, I don't know how they call it, agency, let's say, where you have to register high-risk system. So we are only talking about the top of the pyramid. Yeah, you have to register before putting onto market. Say, hey, I am Philip. I have a high-risk system. I put into the market. Blah blah blah. So there is kind of registry, and for all the rest, there is no active registrations of your system. You just put them on the market the usual way, and this is depending. This will depend very much on your branch. If you are in health, in automotive, and so on, you fall back. Do you need a CE marking for your product or not? And then depending on where you land, you have to put, to gain your CE marking, you have to put some additional requirement for the AI. Or if you had nothing to do before and you are not high risk, you will probably still have nothing to do, right? And to ensure that this from notified body, there will be notified body, accredited body, to help you and to give you external auditing if you are concerned by an external auditing, or if you wish actively to get external auditing on your product.
Yes, so there will be a central office or AI board, if you want, on EU level that would be responsible for overseeing, the different aspects around the EU Act. And this office would have like regional or national arms or bodies that would basically responsible for the enforcement of this law or of this regulation. So this is basically how the structure is currently planned.
Great. And the next question is, with functional safety being embedded in automation systems more and more, and AI now being embedded in relation to machine learning, how will users be sure that AI is not affecting safety within a purchased system's firmware? And will manufacturers have to provide additional certification proving that AI is not influencing functional safety code?
This is a long question. Let me think a second how it's going to be working. Yes, so if I would come back to the slide number whatever, I will try to find it quickly. And this one.
Yes.
If you look at the Annex 1 Part A, if you are one of these guys making just a small component, then you are in the Article 5 of this Annex 1 Part A. And if you are doing it yourself, you're already integrating your Article 6. So this part is already addressed by the regulation in the machinery part, that you cannot make a system concerning safety or touching safety or having an influence on safety, because it's a broad definition. Yeah? If you remember the next slide, like we can go into the text of the standards, which is it can be inside a safety function, it can be used during the development of a safety function, and it's not part of a safety function, but with indirect impact on the safety function. So you see there are really different steps in how you impact the safety functions, but you are concerned through the machinery regulation to do your homework and inform your your next in the value chain, and to provide the case being the relevant proof, the relevant documentation, and the relevant information if you influence whatever the grade, the safety situation of the machine. I hope it
Exactly.
answers the
Yeah.
question.
So yes, maybe just to add a bit on that, if I got the question correctly. So if you have a machine learning or AI component into your system and you kind of fall under the high risk category of the EU AI Act, then you would need to do you need to fulfill certain requirements or certain provisions. And among these provisions or requirements, there are, certain things that you need to prove that you did your homework accordingly for specific aspects. For example, things like documentation or record keeping, and just an evidence of proof that you did everything in your, let's say, your responsibility to cover or mitigate for certain aspects, especially in relation with the safety aspect. For the specific topic of functional safety, the standard and this slide that we are now seeing is basically tries now to help clients, developers, AI providers to understand how exactly to approach the aspect of functional safety. So there are different classes for, let's say, AI use cases, where, for example, the AI could be covered totally or partly by the already available functional safety tools, techniques. And these are the three classes that we see in the horizontal dimension. And then the vertical dimension would be the use case levels, if you want, of AI. And depending on marrying the two dimensions, you would localize basically your AI use case and then define the set of requirements that would be relevant for this use case. As I said, the standard is not yet published, but the idea would be that this would be your first step towards implementing proper functional safety within your AI system. So you localize yourself, and based on this localization, you get a set of requirements that you need to fulfill, especially for the functional safety aspect. I hope this is clear enough.
Okay, we've got a couple more questions before we come to the end. And this particular question, I want to add to it, going back to your slide, Philippe, over Brexit and the UK. And this is something that I'm quite interested to know myself. The question is, does the US and China have their own versions of the Act or some regulations? And if they are aligned with each, and if yes, are they aligned with each other and the European Union? And to add to that, if you look at the global AI index, you've got US and China are first and second. Until very recently, the UK was third, but they've just been knocked into fourth place by Singapore very recently, and that is based on AI indexes around AI capacity, how you wish to define that, which is research, development, funding, I guess, infrastructure, talent, and so on. But I'll be interested to know how is the world working together for an AI regulation, if at all?
I will pass on to Ibrahim because this is not my core area, and
Yes.
I don't. So please, Ibrahim.
I'm happy to elaborate a bit on that. So this is actually a very important aspect that you ask about, Joe. Let me maybe summarize. Here we have three big players that you have mentioned in the question, right? Europe, US, and China. Europe have opted for the horizontal approach. Like we said, a central piece of legislation around which we will build our core legislation structure, and then there will be the standards backing up this central piece of legislation. In China, the approach is different. they have opted for a vertical approach, meaning that in China, if you are working in a specific vector or a specific vertical, then you would have a specific regulation that would cover your own specific industry, for instance. So they tackle this in a modular way. For every vertical, they have a regulation. In the US, the picture is not yet clear, honestly. So on federal level, there is no yet any clear initiative. So there have been some talking, some kind of initiatives from the White House, for example, the blueprints for the AI rights. There are also some initiatives within the Congress. So Chuck Schumer, for example, he is preparing a proposal for regulating AI. There has been some discussions with the big AI companies and Kamala Harris, but I believe that most of the stuff is taking part now on state level. So there are different states with different regulations, like California, for instance, with CCPPA, like New York, they have issued today also some kind of plan for AI, and they have already this employee based AI regulation. So on state level, I would say there are different initiatives. But on federal level, not yet very clear approach. Now, we are here, we say that we are looking at three different players with different approaches. How the hell this would work out at the very end? And this is a very important topic and problem. And just recently, there was a piece of proposal, if you want, by Ian Bremmer and Mustafa Suleyman, published in the Financial Times. It's called AI Paradox, and this piece presents or suggests a global way of governance for AI. And this piece basically emphasizes the fact that we need to adopt a system that is very similar to the financial industry, where there is a global board for AI governance that would take care of the different risks that potentially could arise here and there in China, in the US, and so on, and would basically be responsible for mitigating against such pop-ups, if you want. Now, why this is important, why this model is actually, in my personal opinion, the way to go, because you cannot rely on decentralized way of governing AI, because AI, even within these three clusters, or even the open source AI, could result in some certain of risks, and they would be basically exported to our premises, for example, within Europe or US or whatever. So we definitely need a global overview, a global institution, organization that could mitigate and help against such risk. But this is now still to be figured out. I doubt very strongly that the US and China would cooperate on this, but you never know. Maybe we could, for some reason, be reasonable enough and then try to solve this as a humanity together, to mitigate against the risks of AI.
Yeah.
Okay.